Hello and welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. I'm here with Coach Pete and I'm Gloria Lybecker. And sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you might discover you're feeling melancholy. And when you're feeling melancholy, what's that mean for you, Coach Pete?
Well, it's in a way it's indescribable. I mean, inexplainable, I should say.
Well,
Because sometimes, actually, like this morning, coincidentally enough, I woke up with this feeling of, not feeling energized or great or spectacular, not feeling badly, but feeling sort of eh. How do you
okay.
spell eh? I don't know. And so when I get that way sometimes, and sometimes I can't explain it. I was busy this morning. So I haven't really attended to this feeling of melancholy. I had to do things. I had to post some things. I had to look up some things. I had to prepare for my week. And that will generally get me out of this feeling of melancholy. But I asked the question, is melancholy so bad?
Well,
Question.
yeah, would it be okay if I speak to that?
Oh, please do. This is a conversation after all.
Yeah. Well, I'm of a firm belief that all of the different energies, all the different frequencies of emotion, that they carry messages for us when we take the time to attend to them, as you were noting. And we can have patterns, though, that can keep us from receiving those messages. And some of those patterns can be to get really busy so that we're not attending to something that maybe we don't, I don't know, there's something underneath that. It's kind of like if there was a mat laying there. It's the mat of melancholy. If you go over and you pick it up and you look underneath it, what might you discover there? What might you see when you take time to actually be with what that feels like in your body, noticing the sensations, just noticing what it's like to be you, and then maybe to make some observations about what it is you do notice.
Excellent.
Yeah. So if you
Look under
imagine
the
picking up
hood.
that mat, yeah, what would you see if you pick it up?
Well, I really agree with those tips that you're giving, really, which is stop, take some time, process whatever's going on, think about it, breathe, and look under the hood, see what's causing it. And if it's a melancholy feeling that you're not comfortable with, or you'd rather be more energized or more positive. Um, yeah, so I think those are good tools to use. And as you were talking, it kind of uncovered a little bit of what's going on for me. So thank you. Would
Is
you
this
like me to share?
Oh, if you're open to doing that, that would be great. Especially our viewers can actually kind of have a little
Yeah.
experience
Yeah, I
alongside.
think it has to do with we did a lot for family this weekend for our two sons, and which I always love. I absolutely love it. Um, However, there's a little bit of friction in the family, and so as parents of grown men, we have two sons, and sometimes I speak about them to others, and it must sound like I have 12-year-old kids. These are grown men, okay? I'm the last to know that they're all grown, and there's not much control I have, nor should I try to. So I think that's part of it. They're just allowing for them to work out whatever it is that they need to work out, and just be there and be in support, which we were. My wife and I were supporting each very beautifully, and it felt really good. But I think I woke up with this feeling of, okay, it'd be better if we were kind of all together in a circle, and sometimes that's not possible. So anyhow, it's good for me to realize that. I think the feeling I woke up with is maybe a little bit of lack of control that I wish I had. But how much control do we have anyway?
Yeah, and I wonder if I might make a guess around what it's like for you. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering when you think about the ones who are your sons and the family that you have co-created with the one who's your wife, would you do you really like it when there's a sense of harmony between you all? where there's a congruence and more of a shared reality that you all enjoy together.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, that's what we used to have when we're all an intact family. Everybody's on their own now. So some of it's that. I think the melancholy is kind of like giving up control, giving up power over, my two little boys who are now men. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we've talked a little bit about this before, you and I, that when you're a parent, there's different stages you go through with your kids. Their child development or their people development brings them challenges and changes. And if you're an involved parent, you go along with you get affected by that, whether you're really choosing to or not. So I think that's part of it.
Well, there is
And
an impact, a direct impact. It's true.
it
And
reminds me that I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
that's all right. Well, when you're talking about the parenting journey, and then when you have adults, so now you're parenting adult children, and there are different stages they go through, and it does stretch and grow the parent when the child is stretching and growing themselves. And a big part of that, I believe, is recognizing the different layers or the different aspects of growth and development. And as a parent, choosing to refrain from powering over or to refrain from giving advice, but to really accompany them. I don't know, when you think about when a little child is going to learn how to crawl, you can't make them crawl sooner. You can encourage them, you can accompany them, you can be with them. But when they're going to take those first movements, it's going to be on their own growth and development. And the same is true with their emotions, with the way they learn, the way they relate with people. And so the biggest stretch is I don't know, that's why it's so important to actually have friendships, other relationships, so that you can have some shared reality about what it's like to be a parent of grown men. And
Totally.
that you'd love to support them, and yet recognizing when it's not your place to.
Two things come to mind. One is this was true for me. I don't know how much it's true for everybody, but it must be true for others if it's true for me. Some other people may relate to this. As a parent, as a young parent with young children, young boys, um, part of what you hear this thing about empty nest that's in the distant future, Okay, empty nest. Okay, my job is to prepare them for their life and to go on, give them all the roots and values they need, and then give them wings to go forth into this world. Well, for me, I don't know how many other people, but for me, empty nest hit me hard
Yeah.
because here you think you're going to be prepared for it, and I was not. So for me, it ended up to be, I don't know how many people, I'd love to hear from people about this. After the empty nest, now the empty nest has been a long time for me. My children are, grown, they're middle-aged men, okay? Um, but it still feels not as strongly as it did when they first left the nest. But to me now, life with them is a series of goodbyes.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I never realized that. So I'm sure it doesn't strike everybody the same way, but for me, that's
Um,
what it is. So I've come to accept that and understand that, but it still has an emotional effect on me.
yeah, of course it does, because you love your boys. I totally get that as well. And for me, the way I would frame it up is like, oh, I don't know how many times I'm going to get to say goodbye to you. I don't know how many times I'm going to get to say hello to you.
Right.
So the prioritizing of when those relationships are available has really come up high for me. Um, because my children don't live close to me, except one of them does. So I get to spend a lot of time with him. But how many times will I get to? So even just having conversations is really important. And having
Yep.
conversations where they actually then turn to me and they seek me out. That's when my heart soars. and they're not always easy conversations, but they're important conversations. And yeah, so my heart's with you. And for me, when that melancholy hits, it's just acknowledgement of how much I'm loving somebody, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. So thank you. This was helpful. The other thought I have is a funny thought, at least to me.
Okay.
There was a movie written by Jules Pfeiffer, who used to be a cartoonist for the Village Voice in New York City. I'm talking decades ago. Okay. So, and he ended up writing a movie called Little Murders, and it was hysterical. Elliot Gould was in that, if you remember who he was, and some other character actors. And it was a riot. And the central character was a mother, and the wackiest family you could possibly imagine, like a cartoon caricature family. They were doing all these weird things in the streets of New York and blah blah blah, getting into trouble. Da, 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 da. And at the end of the movie is a scene where they're sitting around a table, and I mean, picture the craziest circumstances, wacky, crazy family, right? Mother looks around, never forget, looks over and goes, "Oh, it's so nice to have the family together again." And I think my memory is that's the last scene in the movie. And it's so funny because I'm telling you, it was a zany family, which every family is, right? But that feeling of, oh, well, at least we're together around a table. I don't know. It strikes me as funny, and I'm glad I had that memory today. So I don't know
Yeah,
if anybody else relates to it, but you can look it up. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, where you can find us too.
that's true. You will find that. Thank you for being willing to explore melancholy with me today. And it really touches my heart. And I also love how we can have humor that can support us as well.
Sure. Oh, one thing I just want to underscore, very important thing you said that I really believe with connection to others when you're feeling a bit melancholy or a little off really helps. And that's what you and I are doing now. So thank you for that.
Well, and thank you, Coach Pete.